All right, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in the world it is that you are. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayers Live, page by page, reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. So today we're going to go back into the second book of Samuel again. And we'll be going over chapter 5, or reading through chapter 5, which covers David being anointed the king over Israel. David conquers Jerusalem, so he's going to be going back into war. And then he defeats the Philistines, which kind of takes David full circle from my perspective in his life, because he initially gained fame, gained the favor of the public opinion, rose to power by defeating Goliath, who was like the main Philistine super warrior. So, since that happened, the king who was his ruler at that time, Saul, became very jealous of David, started stalking him, tried to turn people against him, but the people liked David so much. He was such a rock star that they basically protected him while Saul was alive. Then Saul finally died. And it seems like people expected David to be more celebratory about Saul's death, but he wasn't, because he didn't need to be. And a lot of that had to do with his faith. But you have various people in David's kingdom basically trying to win his favor by being like, "Oh, I really hate Sal. I'm even going to go after his sons and his grandson even." It's horrible. But that's kind of how people behave. What I really like about reading the Bible is that it outlines so many intricacies of human behavior, how people relate to each other, why they fight, why they get along. It's interesting. I mean, if you're just someone who enjoys learning about human nature, the Bible is for you. If anyone ever wanted like a way to market the Bible again, and there's no need to market it because Christianity is everywhere. Um, but still, it could just be a tagline along the lines of, "Do you want to know how the human mind really works? Then read the Bible." So, just a thought for today. Anyway, let's get into this. On a personal note, I'm doing well. Um, Strangely, I'm being kind of pursued by a small band of kitty cats in the location where I am right now. Strangest thing. I saw the cats initially when I was going somewhere yesterday, and it's three of them. It's a black cat with little white paws, and two smaller calico cats. But they're all very tiny cats. I want to say the calico cats maybe are between the age of kitten and adult cat. And the black cat looks a little bit larger, but it's not quite what I would consider to be a full-size cat. But then again, where I am, you probably have people with smaller cats. I'm not going to say where I am, but um, cats do vary in size from place to place. It's funny how that can be. But I'm not sure if these cats are like all brother and sister cats. Definitely the two calico cats, I would say, would be related. But the black cat, I'm not sure, but they all seem to be traveling around in this little area. And it's a safe area, and it's warm weather where I am. It's not cold. So, anyway, I saw these cats and I thought, oh, look at those cute little cats, right? Then I came back from where I'd gone, and I saw the cats again, but on the other side of this area that I'm on. So I'm just like, these whose cats are these, right? Because there's some kids around here, it's families, but it was just odd, and the cats didn't have any collars, and a lot of people own cats but never put a collar on the cat. So I went to pick up some groceries last night, and I came back, and the little cats were right in front of my door. And I'm thinking to myself, whose cats are these? So I got the stuff out of my car, and the two little calico cats at first were skittish because I guess they're younger. The little black cat, though, was amazingly friendly. I just said, "Hey, little cat." And the little cat just comes bounding up, and I'm like, oh gosh. So I do like cats. I'm trying to be more of a dog person, but and mainly because I want to get a dog next year for companionship purposes, but also personal security purposes at this point. But a lot of people in my family have cats. I have a lot of friends with cats. When I was younger, I had a cat, multiple cats on multiple occasions, actually. But yeah, so this little cat comes over and I pet the cat. And as soon as I petted the cat, that cat was thinking, oh, looks like I have a new mistress. So I had to come back out to get the mail, and the cat was still there. And I was thinking this must be somebody's cat, and the cat wanted to come inside. So I'm thinking that maybe whoever was here before me might have fed these cats or something. So I always keep a little bit of either canned tuna or canned chicken on hand for salads. But cats like it too, so I put a little food out for the cats. And again, it's not cold here, but I thought, well, there's this large basket and I can just put a towel in it. So I made a little bed outside for the cats. And I don't think that they used the bed. I know that they ate the food. I'm going to see what the progress is with these cats over the next couple of weeks because I really don't want any pets at this point. I love animals, but I'm not stationary right now. And, I just don't really want pets, but sometimes animals choose you and you don't choose them. So I'm just going to watch to see what happens with the cats. And I guess if they're still around when it's time for me to go, I could take them with me. There's nothing stopping me really from doing so. And if I were to do that, I would get them checked out at a vet at my next destination. And I would probably rehome the calico cats, but I would keep the little black cat because it looks like it's a very cute little cat. And it was so friendly. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl. I didn't pay that much attention. I didn't check. But it definitely is used to people. And that's why I think it's somebody's pet. And I don't want to steal anybody's pet, but sometimes people don't take care of their pets. So we'll see. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on that long tangent about these three little cats, but I guess that'll just be my little diversion and project while I'm where I am for the next few weeks. So, anyway, let's read this. David anointed king over Israel. Again, this is the second book of Samuel, chapter 5. All the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and said, behold, we are your bone and flesh. Previously, when Saul was king over us, you were the one leading Israel out and in. Also, the Lord said to you, You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will be ruler over Israel. So all of the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them before the Lord at Hebron. They anointed King David over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. He reigned over Judah from Hebron for 7 years and 6 months. He reigned over all of Israel and Judah from Jerusalem for 33 years. So he lived to be about 70. That's good. David conquers Jerusalem. The king and his men went to Jerusalem against the Jebusites, who were living in the land. They said to David, "You will not enter here. Even the blind and the lame will turn you away," thinking, "David cannot enter here." Nevertheless, David overthrew the stronghold of Zion, which is now the city of David. David said on that day, "Whoever defeats the Jebusites, let him go through the water shaft to reach the lame and the blind, who are despised by David." Therefore it is said, "The blind and lame shall not come into the house." So David occupied the stronghold, and he called it the city of David. He built on all sides from the terraces inward. David went on and became great, because the Lord, the God of hosts, was with him. King Hiram of Tyre sent messengers to David with cedar wood, carpenters, and stone masons, and they built a house for David. Then David understood that the Lord had appointed him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for the sake of his people, Israel. David took more concubines and wives in Jerusalem after having come from Hebron, and they bore him more sons and daughters. One thing I'll say about David is that he definitely liked women. 'Cause it's just mentioned a lot throughout his story. I was surprised actually to learn that he'd taken two wives to begin with. Now he's taking all these concubines and whatnot. Hmm, I don't really agree with that. I know in some cultures that's normal and whatnot. I know that there's some situations to where maybe there just are not enough hetero guys around and they have to take more than one wife or girlfriend or whatever. But and I don't like it when men who've reached a level of power suddenly, basically become womanizers or have all these different women instead of just focusing on a monogamous relationship. Because I think most women are kind of hardwired to be monogamous, and it's hurtful when men do that. It really is. And I've been thinking, like, what leads men to do that? Who's validating this? Is it only other guys? No, I'll tell you who it is. It's their stupid ass mothers. There's a substantial difference between mothers of sons versus mothers of daughters. Being that I'm not a parent myself, I've probably noticed this more so as an adult than other adults who are my peers, but who are parents. Mothers of sons tend to be real jerks of people. They just are. They're horrible often. Very self-centered, very mean toward little girls and the mothers of little girls, I've noticed. I'm going to probably create a whole YouTube channel about this very topic one day. But I'm not saying all mothers of sons are bad, but Mothers of sons are very different from mothers of daughters. I prefer mothers of daughters. Um, I know some mothers of sons, but there's just a very unusual energy that I've noticed within mothers of sons, and I probably pick it up because um, I don't have any siblings that are brothers, and I'm a daughter of a mother who only had daughters, so I noticed the difference. If I were a mother of a daughter, I would be very careful about being friends with the mother of a son if you're not related to her. Definitely. Just a thought. Let's continue. All right, so David took more concubines and wives in Jerusalem after having come from Hebron, and they bore him more sons and daughters. These are the names of the children born to him in Jerusalem. All right, here we are. Shammua, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ibhar, Elishua, Nepheg, Japhia, Elishama, Aliada, and Eliphalet. David defeats the Philistines. When the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all of the Philistines went up to search for David. But David heard about this and went down to the stronghold. Now the Philistines had come and were spread out in the valley of Rephaim. So David asked the Lord, "Shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you give them into my hand?" The Lord said to David, "Go up, because I will certainly give them into your hand." So David came to Baal Perazim, and David defeated them there. He said, "The Lord has breached my enemies before me like bursting tides." Therefore he named that place Baal Perazim. The Philistines abandoned their idols there, and David and his men carried them away. Once again, the Philistines went up and spread out in the valley of Rephaim. When David inquired of the Lord, he said, "You shall not go up. Circle around behind them and come against them opposite the trees. When you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the trees, pay attention, because at that point the Lord is going before you to defeat the army of the Philistines." Interesting. That's an interesting sentence. When you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the trees, pay attention, because at that point the Lord is going before you to defeat the army of the Philistines. So, what was that sound of marching in the sky? That's an interesting thing to think about. We have to think about the whole ancient aliens theory again. Was there some sort of aircraft that went before David's army to do the major damage before David's army appeared to conquer the Philistines? Marching in the treetops. Sounds like it would be like an engine. That would be like an engine sound. That's what was meant there. Interesting. So David did just as the Lord commanded, and he defeated the Philistines from Geba as far as Gezer. Okay, well that's interesting. So David did have the go ahead from God to go to war and conquer the Philistines and whatnot, but God was helping David in some way, not only when it came to war strategy instead of attacking straight on, going around the back, but there was some sort of entity, possibly an aircraft Or maybe some sort of spiritual, energetic force that went before David to do some damage before David and his men went in. That's very interesting. It would have been very interesting in those times to observe certain phenomenon, certain things. But I guess it's all open to interpretation. So anyway, that's it for today. I have some things I need to do as usual. But everyone have a great day, and I'll be around. Bye-bye.